Yes, pre-9/11, just before 9/11, the exact point of time.
Yeah, there's actually a line about the world changing when the millennium hits and how it's going to affect America, and I was like, yeah, you were off by a year.
Well, the millennium did begin in 2001.
I don't need your pedantry.
But pedantry is my favorite part of every brand new episode of Soon to Be a Major Motion podcast. The podcast where we watch movies that are based on books and read books that are turned into movies. I am Billy Beck and the fan is on.
It sure is. I am Codie Beck and the fan is now off.
I'm not doing that intro again. Deal with the fan sounds, people. Codie, how have you been?
I have been excellent. I feel like nothing has happened since the last time we recorded.
We got to see Angel City win at home.
That's true, but it's like such a... I don't want to talk about it too much because I feel like it's like a bubble and we're going to pop it and it's going to disappear.
Oh, honey, that was after we won like the third game in a row and thought we were like top of the league and shit. Well, we were top of the league.
We were.
That's when we popped the bubble.
Yeah.
Now I'm just happy to see wins and I'm going to celebrate them because it doesn't happen every time.
You know what? Fair enough. It was a pretty good win too against a good team, which alright, I know Bill's normally the one that does his little soapboxy deals, but what I was going to say is my opinion about Angel City is that we rise or sink to the level of the team that we're playing, which is why we got our shit pushed in by San Diego, because, you know, they're top of the league right now. But we still played okay against them. And then when we were playing Utah, a team that is traditionally not great, we again got our shit pushed in, because they're traditionally not very good.
And so we didn't play very good.
Correct.
No, last night, though, we played pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
One of our goals was a deflection, but we had a penalty save.
Ball don't lie, baby.
Kennedy Fuller with a fucking banger of a goal to take the lead.
Tiny child. The fate of the club rests on her shoulders.
Our joy rests on the shoulders of children. Maybe we shouldn't burden children with such great tasks, like rebuilding civilization from the ground up on their own.
You know, funny you should mention that. I was reading a book this week. Oh,
yeah?
Yeah, it's actually one that I did not read in high school.
Yeah, because Hunger Games wasn't out when you were in high school.
Yes, it was.
Oh my god, you're so young. Oh my god, that book is so old.
I'm pretty sure the first one came out in like 2006, bro.
Anyway.
But yeah, no, I was reading a book that I did not read in high school. I happened to pick it up. You may have heard of it. It's called Lord of the Flies.
You know what's fucking crazy?
What?
I was scrolling on Netflix this morning because I had a day off because I'm special like that. Planned my hangovers. I was scrolling through Netflix today, and there's a new Lord of the Flies miniseries that I watched all of.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, so since coincidentally, we both happened to do what we said we would do last week.
2 weeks ago.
You wanna talk about Lord of the Flies?
Let's talk about Lord of the Flies.
Alright, let's talk about Lord of the Flies. You know what? Let's go old school. Let's just hit him with a trailer.
Aight.
Let's just hit him right now with a fucking trailer. This is a trailer.
It's a brilliant, exciting motion picture, Lord of the Flies.
Piggy? Huh? That was murder. You stop it. What good are you doing talking like that? It was dark. There was that bloody dance. There was thunder and lightning and rain. We were scared. It wasn't what you said. Oh, Piggy!
The artful, chilling story of castaways degenerating into savagery. Lord of the Flies. of the Flies is one of the gems that will be watched by connoisseurs of the film for years to come, says the New York Mirror. Don't miss this widely acclaimed and shocking hit, Lord of the Flies.
So Lord of the Flies, huh?
Yeah.
So you didn't read it in high school?
I did not read it in high school.
I did read it in high school.
I feel like that keeps happening.
And I was thinking about it a lot this week. Because it's one I remember I didn't, skip. Occasionally I would skip one and, Sparks Notes them or Google them.
Mm-hmm.
But I read it. But I didn't enjoy reading it. Because of the reason I had to read it, if that makes sense. So, let me take a step back. When I did Animal Farm in high school, that was taught because it's satire. And when we did, I guess when Fahrenheit 451 was taught, it was utopias, right? Or dystopias, rather.
Yeah.
We were taught Lord of the Flies for symbolism. So the whole time I'm reading this novel for the first time, what do Piggy's glasses represent? What does the conch represent? And those are the two things I remember the entire time reading it. So, what do Piggy's glasses represent?
I mean, I feel reading this for the first time and skimming some critical interpretations.
Oh boy.
Honestly, none of them touched on Piggy's glasses. I feel like Piggy's glasses represent kind of the same thing as the conch, which is, power and the balance of power. You could, I definitely, in my heyday, could have written a convincing essay talking about how Piggy's glasses and the conch are basically the same symbol for different things. One is natural, one is human-made, and it's about how Piggy's glasses are an invention of man, and once they're destroyed, it's an indication that primal savagery is taking over, and the conch represents law and order, and the natural order of things, and when that delicate thing is finally shattered in the act of violence at the end of the book, it's the true breakdown of law and order, but that's just, some bullshit.
Nah, that's probably what I came up with in high school. That sounds about right. I was thinking this viewing of symbolic power versus actual power.
Mm-hmm.
The conch is just a symbol, and whoever is holding it is supposed to be the one who's talking. That is almost never followed.
Yeah,
almost,
unless Ralph or Jack are the ones holding it.
And the reason being is because Jack is willing to take things by force, and Ralph is willing to take things by kindness or respect. They're both still powerful enough to take. And the actual source of power is, Piggy's glasses.
The thing with Ralph is that he's chosen as the leader for a reason that none of them can articulate, even Jack, and that's where the resentment comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Is because I feel that Jack is probably the oldest boy on the island.
Yeah, probably.
Even if it's only by a couple of months, which, is important when you're 12. And he's also already a leader as the leader of the choir. So he's used to having leadership. And it's one of those things where Ralph probably hasn't ever had a leadership position before, but he just has that je ne sais quoi that all the other boys are drawn to.
Charismatic leader.
Yeah.
I just had a thought. Jack represents the monarchy. Because prior to the island, leadership was bestowed upon him by a higher power, whoever ran the choir. Whereas Ralph represents democracy, because his power came by a popular vote.
Yes.
And the monarchy just wants to flush out democracy wherever it can, because it will lose power, because its ideas are not welcomed by the people unless there's a threat of violence at hand.
That's a different movie. That's called Braveheart.
No, that's also, I haven't seen Braveheart, but it's also this. That's very much this.
Yeah.
Jack is the first one who's willing to show violence. He hits Piggy. And he's willing to sacrifice fire to cause violence, because that's more important to him. And all the kids fall in line.
Yeah. So, not to break up the symbolism with some context, but the phrase haunting the narrative?
Yeah.
Usually it means that there's a character or an event that kind of is in the background that is subtly influencing everything that's going on because of how people reacted to it or didn't react to it. I think the stupidest one I've ever heard is Laura Palmer is haunting the narrative of Twin Peaks. She is the fucking narrative.
Yeah,
That's not haunting the narrative.
She's not haunting the narrative. She's like the instigating circumstance.
My understanding from the new Hunger Games book, which I have not read yet, is that Katniss's dad is the perfect example of haunting the narrative with the context of that happening. Once you read that book, it puts a bunch of new context behind the original trilogy. So, just for that as background, I think it is safe to say the man who experienced World War II, specifically D-Day, was haunted by what happened on that day and the events of the war in general.
Wait, Golding was at D-Day?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You think he's a character in that new movie?
Probably not.
He fucking could be. Private Golding, as he's like writing in a sketchbook or something. Yes, sir. Sorry. Anyway.
He was apparently at a top secret research lab, but there was an explosion and he was sent home to recover, and he was put back into the military after the explosion and basically just in time to participate in D-Day. Obviously, he survived. But I'm going to go ahead and say that his experience led him to write this book. And I have not read any of his other work, but a lot of the criticism that I have read, and I don't mean criticism of the novel, I mean like the academic criticism, says that basically he's exploring in this novel some other things that he fleshes out and does better in his later work, because this is his very first novel. It's published when he's in his 40s. And I think it's important that it was published in 1954. So this is around the same time as Fahrenheit 451?
Probably.
I feel like...
I don't remember.
I feel like 50s is pretty important.
60s maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. So that sort of era, and like, you've got people who have PTSD, who have experienced the worst of humanity. Not saying that he personally did not see the concentration camps that I'm aware of, but a lot of the soldiers who did, obviously you're going to have some scars from that. And so just like that entire traumatized generation, that puts some context into what is happening in this. Of course, if you were on the ground at D-Day, you're going to have a very specific view of humanity.
Some men would rather write a best-selling novel than go to therapy.
I don't even think therapy was an option. Oh, another fun thing. After the war, but before he wrote this novel, he became a teacher at a religious boys' school. Wonder if that may have influenced how he handled some of the characters.
I wonder what happened to the kids that the kids in Lord of the Flies are named after.
I wonder how many of them, like, are just first name, last name, yanked from two people, just slapped together.
You know there's some dude at a pub to this day. You know Jack in Lord of the Flies, he's named after me.
That's
based him right off of me.
Buddy,
throwing back pints.
Buddy, it's not a compliment. But because of that, so I'm just setting some historical context there. The other thing I want to bring up are two characters who are considered minor characters. As far as I'm aware, Simon is not really focused on in any of the film adaptations because it's kind of difficult.
Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want me to come back to that?
We can come back to that.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
And then Roger, because yes, you have Jack, who in his own way is charismatic, but you also have Roger, who is the first one to exhibit violence for no reason. Mm-hmm. Jack at least is angry when he hurts Piggy. I'm not saying it's justified, but he is in a experiencing a high emotion.
Yeah, because that, for context, if it's been a while since you've read or seen it, that confrontation happens. It's after they missed the plane, right? Because the fire went out?
Yes. Honestly, it may even be like earlier in the book. Everyone is always very willing to put hands on Piggy, whether it's to shove him, push him, pull, whatever.
It's right after they get the first pig, I believe. Because they got the pig, but they missed the plane because the fire went out.
Correct. So yeah, I think that is the first time he punches him. But he has already like shaken him and pushed him around.
Oh yeah, they like wrestle the glasses off of his face.
Yeah. But Roger, there's a scene where he straight up just starts throwing stones at a little kid. Mm-hmm. Nothing is happening. The kid is just fucking around, playing in the ocean. And Roger just starts casually skipping stones and getting them closer and closer to the kid. And I believe one of the other characters starts just like sprinting across the beach, and that's what distracts him. But he was getting ready to start straight up just nailing this kid in the head with stones. And it's one of those like almost... This isn't, I don't mean it in an erotic way, but the seductive nature of like you getting pulled into the mindset of this kid who's like, what if I did?
Yeah. A little sociopath.
Yes. And in that way, I think Roger is worse than Jack. And I also think if they had, Roger is also the one who comes up with the idea of mounting the pig's head.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who actually carves the stick and I think straight up mounts the head.
Yeah.
So Roger is also the one who, when they're hunting the second sow after the tribes have split, or rather Jack has seceded, he is the one who stabs the pig basically through the ass. And he kind of delights in that. And then when you get to the penultimate scene, Piggy's death, he's the one who looses the rock.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it at a call from Jack. He just does it.
Yeah. And that was clear in every version.
Yeah, like it's definitely something that you actually see a situation where they have tipping rocks as precarious multiple times. Like the first time is the first time they go up to that area. Mm-hmm. They're like, I think it's Simon, Ralph, and
Jack.
And they climb up there to try to figure out where the island ends.
Yeah.
And they end up working together as little kids do, just to throw the rock down the cliff. And then later, I think when they see the beast, they accidentally trigger a rock to go down the cliff again. And so when you see it the third time, you're like, now's the time where someone's going to get hurt with it. Mm-hmm. So Golding does a really good job of kind of seeding that idea throughout the novel. And same with, like, seeding the idea of the violence slowly increasing. So it's definitely something that the characters are all aware of, but I think Roger has taken violence on in a way that even Jack doesn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I would make the argument that if they do not get rescued and they succeed in killing Ralph, it's not going to be that long before Roger finds a way to get rid of Jack.
Yeah.
Or maybe he won't because he wants the cover of...
I was thinking that too, because that's something we see in modern governments. Roger's the Cheney to Jack's Bush, right? Roger's the ICE to Trump, right?
Yeah.
The violent wing that will eventually face consequences for it, but the leader won't, even though the leader is encouraging it and approving it.
Yeah. The Himmler to the Hitler.
Yeah. But a lot of that actually came through real nice in the original 1963 movie that we listened to a trailer for earlier.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about production of that movie, because I think it's important to how they made it and how they chose to adapt it.
Fucking wild.
This film has no credited screenwriter. The writing credit is from the novel by William Golding. And the reason for that is, of all the people on set, I think 2, maybe 3 had previous experience making films. The director, Peter Brook, was one. He had done, I think, 2 pictures before, and I think one of the kids had done a commercial or something. Everyone else on set, camera and sound guys, all of the child actors, complete amateurs.
Honestly, I feel like that works well with child actors.
And what they did was they took all of these people down for a nice summer on an island in Puerto Rico, and they went down, to that nice Caribbean island in the summer of 1961.
I feel like maybe something historical happened around that time.
I don't know what you're talking about. Everything would have been fine when they arrived, because half of the island was owned by the U.S. military. It was a military base. And so they were, of course, going to be safe if anything were to happen in the region the first week they started shooting, like the Bay of Pigs.
Oops.
And all of a sudden, the island on which they set Lord of the Flies became a military hospital.
Whoops!
But that's okay. What they basically would do is just film scenes from the book. Mostly improvised, or if there was any dialogue, it was taken directly from the book. And they would just have a couple cameras rolling. And the cinematographer, videographer, cameraman, I don't know what you'd call him. He was on the commentary and he was great. He would just roll. Whether or not Brooke said cut or roll, he would just judge it. And a lot of like iconic shots from the movie were after the cut, and he just kept rolling.
I mean, it hadn't happened yet, but The Graduate, famously.
Yeah.
The famous ending scene of The Graduate happened because they didn't call cut.
They just kept going. Oh, they didn't call cut. No, Brooke would call cut. And the cameraman would just keep rolling. He would just keep it going. And he would... The famous one is right after Simon dies. His body is floating in the water, and then it rolls over and drifts out of frame. And then Brooke yells cut. And he just hovers on the reflection of the moon and the ripples of the water and slowly adjusts the focus. And that stayed in the final cut because it's a really, really interesting shot that like lingers and it's like carries a lot of thematic weight in the moment as well. And that was all instinct from a first-time cameraman.
Listen, good instincts.
Yeah. So much from the book made it into the film. Like, the way that you were describing scenes, I was like, yep, that's... like, when you're talking about the rock getting pushed down the hill the first time, the middle one doesn't happen, but you see the first one. 3 of them see a rock teetering there, and they push down the hill and see what happens.
Because at their heart, they're 12-year-old boys.
Yeah. They know they must be adults, but the allure of no responsibilities and no authority is there.
That's actually something in the first couple chapters when they realize there's no adults. They're all kind of excited about it. And then I think the gloom that sort of settles on them, and by them I mean like Ralph. Piggy, I think, kind of recognizes it immediately, and I think there's a reason for that. But
is the reason that Piggy is very clearly a kid who spends all his time reading books and therefore knows the danger of what he's about to like face?
Yeah, I was gonna say in more words, yeah, essentially Piggy is the one who recognizes that he is only safe with adults around.
Yeah.
He's also the one that we would call it emotional intelligence, because he's the one who immediately recognizes that A, Ralph is the safe one, and B, Jack will hurt him if he can't hurt Ralph. Yeah. He literally says, if he can't get to you or if you step aside, I'm next. Mm-hmm. And he is. I mean... He is. I would make the argument that Simon is... Okay, so... if we're going back to symbolism, Piggy obviously represents the underprivileged.
Yes.
Simon is literally disabled. Simon is the canary in the coal mine. The killing of Simon is the turning point. You could also kind of make the argument that the killing of the first pig is the turning point, because that's when they're able to kill. Mm-hmm. But I think the killing of Simon is when the actual turning point happens. Because the people who recognize it for what it is, Piggy and Ralph, know that it's murder, regardless of the experiences that were happening around the time. It's still murder. Yeah. If I may quote Brooklyn Nine-Nine, cool motive, still murder. Whereas Jack and the other boys, it's not totally clear that they're even aware that it was Simon.
Yeah. I think Jack is aware and just tells all the other kids that it was the Beast, and the Beast takes different forms. See,
at that point, I don't think he is aware, because I think there's a little bit more woo-woo in the novel than there is in the adaptations, I think. Yeah. Because, like, when we were talking about how Simon isn't given as much screen time on the adaptations, I'm assuming he doesn't get the scene where the pig's head speaks to him.
So, that scene is in all 3 adaptations. Okay. It is all visual in the 63. You just see them staring at each other, basically. In the 1991, it is even more truncated than that. Mm-hmm. But in the new one, I'm pretty sure he hears the voice of the Lord of the Flies. Okay. Because the third one is where it starts to get trippy. Like, they start doing some weird color correction shit, like amplifying reds.
Is it clear that he's epileptic in any of the adaptations?
Not by the term epilepsy. It's a little more clear that he has, like, fainting spells, I think they call it in the 63.
I don't know if epilepsy had been properly diagnosed at the time.
I'm not sure. He seems to have a very similar form of epilepsy to the one that my family member has that.
Yeah, like the partial complex seizures.
Yeah, just like we used to call it zoning out.
Yeah. I don't know if I was not aware of the fact that he was disabled going in. I don't know that I would have picked up on it, even when Golding is describing the seizure that he has.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting that the first one who is killed, first one who is othered, the first one who's described as beast-like, and also the one who communicates with the beasts of the island, is the disabled boy, who also is made fun of whenever he tries to speak for himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a point there about the canary in the coal mine, so to speak, the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
Because then it makes it okay for them to kill Piggy later.
Yeah, because they've already done it once.
Yeah. Do we want to tackle the beast?
We should probably talk about the beast.
Because as I was reading it, I was telling you, I'm pretty sure there's not an actual beast. If there is a beast, it's a snake.
Yeah.
Because of the way that he kept describing the creepers on the island and the place where they were, I was assuming that if there actually was a creature that was capable of killing them, it would be a snake. But, of course, it ends up being the dead soldier trapped in his parachute and chair.
Yeah, so are we going to do the high school symbolism test on it?
We should do the high school symbolism test on it.
I don't think it's symbolic at all. I think it's, if anything, symbolic of a child's imagination and how kids can blow things out of proportion that aren't actually dangerous. They're literally missing the forest for the trees, in that what's most dangerous to us in the long term is not having proper shelter, not having proper food, not having proper water, shitting where we eat. But what they think is dangerous to them in the short term isn't even an actual threat.
Yeah. And the person who tries to warn them about it is the person, or tries to explain that to them, is the first person they kill.
Yeah.
I mean, Golding himself, Word of God, has said that the beast, the soldier, literally represents war as the gift that is passed down from generation to generation to children.
Oh.
It's literally, the soldier literally represents war. As, like, this is what you're going to get if you don't learn from yourselves.
That is a perfect way for me to segue into talking about the 1990 adaptation.
Oh boy!
So, I watched 3 different adaptations for this, and the 63, like I said, so faithful to the novel that there wasn't even a screenwriter associated with it.
I do want to get in a quick quip, which is still less hours watched than Wicked.
No, because this year one is like 4 hours long, because it was a mini-series.
Damn, okay.
I know. But the 1991, also 90 minutes like the 63. Wonderful. The kids are American.
Okay.
When they first land, there is an adult alive who survived the crash as well.
Okay.
But he's like going mad. And Simon is tasked with watching him.
Okay.
And then one night he up and fucks off into the woods and into a cave.
Ah.
And then they introduce the idea like one of the kids saw a beast. And
in the novel, it's also hinted that Simon is the beast, because basically he's going off to be alone when he has his seizures, and some of the little boys are catching him.
Ah, yeah. No, none of that in the movie. No, the guy fucks off to the cave, kids start seeing a beast, and then the not Simon 3 go in. He's having like a rampage or something. He's gone feral, is the way the Wikipedia describes it.
Ah.
They freak out. Oh my god, there is a real beast. It's so scary. And then later Simon goes up and then sees that it's this commander who he would talk to at night while he was trying to nurse him back to health is now dead. And then he stumbles down and dies.
So he doesn't get killed, he just dies?
No, I mean, he gets fucking... His body gets mutilated.
Okay. I thought
by
it was...
the children with their spears.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. The 1990 makes a lot of weird changes, but the gore effects, top-notch.
Okay, so the cover of the Modern Critical Interpretations book is the 90.
Yeah.
Why does it look like Hook? Was that just the thing at the time?
I guess. I don't know.
I mean, they are I did see that Hook pulls somewhat from Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, for sure.
So that could be why those choices were made.
It's probably a visual, like, language thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want to talk about those changes a little bit. Like, how making them American kind of kills it, in a way.
Because Americans are already viewed as savages by most of the rest of the world.
Yeah, and the fact that they're military school kids, which, like, already, like...
They're already bad
There's already
kids.
familiarity.
Yeah.
There's like they have that little backstory they give Jack in there that I think he stole a car and crashed it, and his parents sent him to military school.
Even if it's not true, like, eh.
And going back to the 63, there's a quote in that, and I'm sure it's in the book. It's, "We're English, we're the best at everything."
It's in the book.
And that's the first meeting when they're deciding how they're going to do things. And they're like, "Oh, we got this. We're British. We're the fucking best." And immediately off a cliff. You know, like, that's core to the writing, even if it feels like a joke, you know? That's the point he's trying to make, is there's, like, a British exceptionalism that I think Golding wanted to take down a peg or two. And you lose so much of that with the American kids.
I also think that you lose the essential descent into madness if they're already quote-unquote bad kids.
Yeah.
Because the point of Jack is that he is literally a choir boy.
Literally! A choir boy.
And you kind of lose the importance of him descending into evil and darkness if he's already starting halfway down.
Yeah, there's so much more depth to that character because you know all the parents prior to this. Oh, that Jack, he's just the pinnacle. He's like chief choir boy, and oh, you're boy Jack, you know. No one expects Jack to be the one to immediately just go crazy. Although if you've been a Jack and, I don't know, maybe spent a lot of time in churches and being regimented and not being able to, you know, let loose once in a while, then yeah, when you're away from authority, you do let loose a little hard, speaking from experience. But I digress.
I was just double checking the end of the novel to see if it clarifies the nationality of the adult who rescues them.
I assume British.
It doesn't clarify, but he assumes they're all the boys are British, so I'm assuming he's British as well, but I think it would be hilarious if he was French.
The kids wouldn't understand him. Not that the French guy couldn't speak English, he would refuse to.
So, you were talking about changes made.
Yeah.
So, I wanna talk about the, like, I'm gonna get up on my little feminist soapbox.
Okay.
There is a version of this written about women.
Mm-hmm.
It is called Beauty Queens, and it's by Libba Bray, and I believe it's from 2008. It might be earlier. She makes some pretty significant changes to the story besides just gender swapping them. The story is that basically it is a group of girls on their way to a beauty pageant. And your eyes into the story, you are kind of seeing from, now that I've read Lord of the Flies, I can say you're kind of seeing from the Simon character. And the Jack character is the Texas beauty queen who has just, like, won every beauty pageant and is always the boss and etc. And she ends up being the one that goes feral and stays on the island. When the rest of them all get rescued.
Wait, do any of the boys stay on the island at the end of the book?
No.
Okay.
They do not.
All the adaptations cut off right when rescue arrives.
Yeah. I mean, that's when the book ends.
Yeah. Okay. Carry on with Beauty Queens.
Yeah. So, Beauty Queens, so they're all teenagers, first of all. It's all teenage girls. They're all, you know, beauty pageant contestants, which carries a very specific set of expectations. And I think that's kind of the choir boy of it all. Is like, these are supposed to be the model examples of femininity.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be... The book is posing the question, can you maintain your femininity and be female and perform the female role to the extent that you are supposed to in a civilized society on a deserted island? And that's kind of where it twists, and it's very funny and very satirical, and there's also like a dig at the American government in there. So I do recommend reading that if you never have. Libba Bray is fantastic, but coming from that to Lord of the Flies, it's so much darker.
Yeah. So...
There was one more adaptation.
There was, and I watched it today.
And you said there's a pretty wild change.
Yeah, so this new one, it was produced by the BBC. Just debuted on Netflix this month, so you can go out and watch it right now. And it is 4 1-hour episodes. And having watched 2 90-minute films, Neither of them felt like they dragged at any point, but they told their story. I thought, how are we going to stretch this to 4 hours? And then the other night I was watching the 63 with commentary, and he mentioned that the original cut was 4 hours long. And they were like, oh no, we got to trim that. We got to trim that. We got to trim that. I should say the 63, by the way, was in the editing room for 2 years.
Good Lord.
Because they couldn't shoot any scenes with synchronized dialogue. Because the ocean was right there. And the ocean can get pretty loud. So, at night, they would go to a secluded part of the island that's quiet and just record the dialogue like they're recording a play. And they did that a couple times. And then they spent 2 years finding takes of the lines that match the lips on screen.
Good God.
So when I complained the first time I watched it that, oh, this actor playing Piggy is terrible, it's not entirely his fault.
He did have some pretty rough delivery, but if he's doing it later...
Well, I say it's not entirely his fault, but it is entirely his fault. Because they were, I think, 6 days from shooting and did not cast a Piggy. They had looked for years and could not find a Piggy. So they put an ad in local papers in Britain. And Brooke, the director, says one day, a week before shooting started, I opened a letter and it was written on the back of a magazine cover. And it was a little bit sticky because it was written by a little schoolboy. And in his schoolboy handwriting, he wrote, hello, I think I am the Piggy you're looking for. And enclosed was a picture. And he was like, yeah, no, that'll work.
Jesus Christ.
So they flew him down to Puerto Rico, start shooting. They're shooting that first meeting scene. And Brooke gives him the bit of dialogue. And he's like, okay. And he goes up and he starts saying his line. And then he continues with the continued dialogue that's in the novel that Brooke didn't give him. And when asked about it, he said, I thought it was important to the picture that it's in there.
Oh God, he is Piggy.
This little Piggy went so method that on the day they shot The Rock, he woke up thinking he was going to die that day.
I remember hearing
He had given his possessions to the other boys and went to meet his fate.
that poor little boy.
And what's funny is they were like, are you okay, dude? Like, he's like, no, I don't see a way that you can film this without me having to die, so I'm willing to... No. Here's what we're gonna do.
You think your parents sent you to us to die?
You think you volunteered to die? He volunteered as tribute.
How mean were these other actors to him?
No, well, okay, a lot of it was the other actors saying there's no other way they can shoot it, they're gonna have to drop a rock on you.
I was gonna say, to be fair, most of them had never acted before either, so maybe they thought that.
Yeah. So what they ended up doing was they took a shard off of the rock that they dropped and did a long shot of this rock falling down a cliff, and then they said it was about the size of a book, and they just, like, clunked him on the nog just lightly with it in front of lens, and it's like 3 frames in the movie. You just see a flash of it. But yeah, it looks like that big fucking rock is squishing Piggy.
All right, well done, 63.
So yeah, but a long digression about the actor who played Piggy, whose name I did not write down. So we were talking about the new one.
Yes.
Speaking of Piggy, what's his name?
You never find out.
Yes, you do.
Oh, they tell you his name?
You find out his name.
In the novel?
In the new one. In the miniseries.
Okay.
They give Piggy a name. It was my complaint, was that, like, Ralph doesn't even ask his real name. He just kind of abandons him. So the way that they padded this out was so each episode, there's 4 episodes, and they're each named after the central character of that episode. Mm-hmm. So you got Piggy, you got Jack, you've got Simon, and you've got Ralph.
Okay.
So Piggy, you start with Piggy, and he meets Ralph and all that, and you have the opening of the novel, basically. But they also they flesh out their relationship a little bit. You see them becoming friends more than you do in the other adaptations. In Jack's episode, the thing that worried me, by the way, when I saw that each episode was named after a character, was, oh no, they're going to add flashbacks. And guess what they start doing in episode 2?
Flashbacks?
Fucking flashbacks. So Jack, you see him saying goodbye to, I think it's his family, and getting on the plane, and you see how he handled the plane crash as it was happening, right? Simon's. Do they find suitcases in the novel?
No. I think the way they handle the crash is basically they keep referring to an area on the island as the Scar, which is where they hit. And I think what happened is they hit, the plane basically broke into pieces and, like, then slid into the ocean. Because they make a horrifying casual remark about how there were still boys in the plane as it was, like...
Yeah. So at the end of episode 2, after they've killed the pig, but before they know the fire's out, that's treated more like a reveal in that, which I didn't hate.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't
that's
hate
also
throwing
a
that. Yeah, I didn't hate throwing that perspective shift per episode. That was fine. But as they're taking the pig back, they find a couple of suitcases. One of whom is Simon's.
Okay.
Simon's diary was in his suitcase.
Oh no.
So through the Simon episode 3, which goes from Jack splitting off to Simon's death, you hear diary entries. And you see little flashbacks of Simon and Choir with Jack. But you get stories from the diary of school vacation, when it was only Simon and Jack left at school, everyone else went home for Christmas, and how they really bonded over Christmas break. But as soon as everyone was back, Jack just didn't give him the time of day anymore. So that's how they fleshed that out. And then Ralph, you find out in the flashback sequence that his mother has just died.
Yes, that is... You don't know how recently she's died, but he says something about his mother was still with him.
Yeah.
Or with them.
So you see him outside at the funeral because he can't take it anymore. And there's his dad's Navy, so there's a Navy man there.
Yeah.
And he says, you're going to need to be there for your father. And so, like, he's carrying all this guilt with him. So how does this adaptation decide to expand on that guilt and build out the character of Ralph a little bit more through that final act? Because the death of Simon to the rescue, not a long chunk of the book.
No, it's like 2 days.
It's a quarter of this miniseries. It's a whole hour. So what they do is Roger throws that rock at Piggy, and it hits him on the head, and he goes down. And I thought when it happened, that was really anticlimactic. The 63, like, would show Roger playing with the lever that's going to tip the rock, and Piggy keeps going, and the kids are yelling, and it ramps up, and then it's this big climactic moment. Here, Piggy, like, starts talking, and, like, donk, and he's down. And I thought, that's really anticlimactic. What a way to let Piggy go. Oh, he's getting up, and he and Ralph are leaving. And the next, like, 20 minutes to a half an hour, it felt like, was Ralph and Piggy trying to hide from the gang in the jungle. As Piggy is bleeding out from behind his head and he keeps complaining about being cold. And he's giving Ralph ideas on how to get off the island. If we put a sundial on the back of the raft, then we'll know where the sun is. And we'll know that the sun is north, so we can at least go north. And all this random shit. And telling stories from Auntie, what's her name?
Just Auntie.
She has an aunt. Oh, it's before this. You find out his name's Nicholas, by the way. Piggy is Nicky for this chunk of it. Sure. Wasn't important. I'm still going to call him Piggy. But yeah, it's like this long, like, bonding thing, and then Ralph goes to get water for Piggy, and by the time he gets back to the body, Piggy's dead. And he buries Piggy. A good Christian burial. And then the chase scene ensues, and they start burning the forest down. And just before he gets to the beach, Ralph breaks and just says, I give up. I'm here, Jack. Come get me. Ralph gives up, and then stumbles onto the beach and then sees the guy. And then there's another, 15 minutes of the guy asking questions and making little jokes until he slowly realizes that kids have died. And they stretched out the last, 10% of the story into a quarter of the story. And in my opinion, just completely ruined the whole miniseries.
Yeah, the point of the violence in Lord of the Flies is that it's quick and shocking. And you can't take it back.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I was trying to keep track of is because I know that this book has famously the death of Piggy.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for that. So I was like, all right, who else are we going to see? Who else is going to die? What is the actual body count of this book? We can't know how many kids died on the crash. But we know we start with people already dead.
Yeah.
And then the first death in the book is actually one of the little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're building the fire, and they get a little overzealous, and the fire gets too big, and it scorches through basically the scar where they're pulling all of the wood from.
Yeah.
And it also happens to be right next to, the fruit orchard. where a lot of the little boys go. And when I say little boys, I mean like 6.
Yeah, the little uns.
Yes, the little uns. So there's one boy the boy that in the meeting talks about the beastie. He's the one who first brings up the idea of the beast. And he is identified as having a very specific birthmark. And after the fire has burned down and everyone's chilled out a little bit, Piggy is the one who's like, you guys set the entire island on fire. You also let it burn to where the fruit orchards are, which is where all of the little kids go. You didn't bother to check if there was any little kids in there. We don't even know how many there are. Where is the little boy with the birthmark?
So the miniseries is the only adaptation that includes the boy with the birthmark. And that scene happens. Piggy can't find the boy with the birthmark. And at the end, when they're getting rescued and the Navy man is asking questions and he finds out the kids died, he says, how many? And Ralph says, 2. He knows the boy with the birthmark died. Just forgot about him.
So in the novel, the guy first asks, how many of them are you? Or how many of there are you? And he's like, I don't know how many. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I thought you would have been, you boys are all British. What do you mean you don't know how many there are? And he does ask him how many are dead. And he says 2, but the bodies are gone.
Yeah. Oh, that's so, okay. I didn't realize that was from the novel.
Yeah.
Because that's not in that 63. The 63 ends with, he's running across the beach from the bloodthirsty savage boys. And stumbles at the feet of this guy and looks up and just starts to cry. And that's the end of the film.
So in the novel, all of the boys start to cry. Because the last 2 pages are from the point of view of the adult. And so he just sees Ralph stumbling up to him, mostly clothed but dirty. And he starts talking to Ralph. And he asks, like, who's in charge? And Ralph says, I am. And then it describes how he sees a boy wearing the remains of a fancy black hat and, like, a mostly nothing except for a belt that there's a pair of broken glasses shoved into. Steps forward and then steps back. So from the point of view of the adult, he doesn't even recognize Jack.
Yeah.
Like, and when I say recognize, not that he would know who he was, but like the only person that scans to him is Ralph. Mm-hmm. Because at that point, Ralph is the only human left. That's the way that I interpreted it.
Yeah, he's the only British boy left.
Yeah. Everyone
else are those savages we need to colonize. Am I right, fam?
Don't clip that out of context.
Please don't.
But yeah, so Ralph breaks down. And then after Ralph breaks down, all of the other boys start breaking down. Because you have the little thing with Percival Wemyss memes.
Yeah, where he can't remember his address.
He can't remember his name.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's in the 63. I love that moment in that film. It's so heartbreaking because it's the only line of dialogue this little boy, who you see the whole time, has said was his name, address, and telephone number. And then at the end, he's going to say his name and address so this guy knows who he is. Can't fucking remember it. And it's devastating. And in this one, like in episode 2 or 3, he's reciting it to himself and he can't remember his telephone number, and then we never come back to him. Like, we never get that payoff.
But yeah, so it's Ralph breaks down and then Percival breaks down. And it's funny because, like, as the reader, you can see his name, but he doesn't have access to it anymore.
Yeah.
And then slowly...
Because he can't read.
And yes. And slowly all of the other boys, including Jack, break down. And it talks about how basically the naval officer doesn't know how to handle it, so he kind of just looks away and lets them cry.
So it sure would be crazy if something like the story of Lord of the Flies happened in real life, right? Wouldn't it be just absolutely nuts if a bunch of boarding school boys wound up marooned on a desert island, like, in reality? Like, how do you think it would really turn out? Like, do you think it would actually turn out like Lord of the Flies?
I don't think they would kill each other.
So let me tell you.
Okay.
About the Tongan castaways.
Okay.
So, in 1965, I believe, which is 2 years after the film came out.
Mm-hmm.
11 after the novel. 6 boys from a boarding school stole a boat to escape the boarding school.
Okay.
Got caught in a storm that disabled the boat, broke their anchor, and they just, like, washed away until they saw an island. I think they were, like, bucketing out, what's the word? For getting water out of the boat. They were bailing the boat for like 3 days, and then it took 36 hours for them to get from the wreckage to the island once they saw it. And they stayed on that island for 18 months.
Oh, no.
In harmony.
Okay.
I will say they had one advantage, and that is it was a volcanic island, and in the crater of the volcano, there was an abandoned village. People used to live on that island. But they didn't get there immediately. They hand dug a cave. They survived by eating seabirds and drinking their blood when they didn't have water. And eventually, they found civilization, and they farmed, and they worked in shifts. And at night, they built a makeshift guitar and would entertain themselves writing and singing songs. Eventually, they were found by an Australian fisherman. They had already had their funerals, so it was this crazy miracle that these kids survived. They were already 18 months, right?
Yeah.
They're gone, but they weren't gone. Big celebration. I think the Tongan people gave the Australian guy, like, rights. Or, like, they treated him like royalty, basically, for finding these boys. And I think it was the day of one of the celebrations of their survival, they were arrested. Because the guy they stole the boat from...
Yeah, that tracks.
They got bailed out by a documentary company. They basically paid off the guy and made a documentary about it. So, yeah. Every Wikipedia article on every version of the book and each film has a little bit about the Tongans. At the end, it's like, yeah, but this actually happened once and it didn't quite go this way. So, fucking relax.
Well, I mean, they also weren't white British boys in the 40s.
True. What? So I think the actual moral is that British boys are terrible.
Mark sent me a meme that was like, wow, the core of humanity is evil, and then it's the going over everyone's head, it's just British children are rat bastards.
That's why the American adaptation didn't work as well as the other two, in my opinion.
Because American children are already rat bastards?
As Peter Brooks said, the strength of the material is British.
Because the thing is, honestly, I think this story would work with any society that has really rigid casts. So something like, I could see a Japanese version of this working well.
I could see an Indian version of this working well.
An Indian version. I couldn't necessarily see an indigenous version of it working well.
There is a Filipino film adaptation as well, from 1975.
Okay.
I did not watch it.
Yeah, but I feel like the problem with making it American is that, A, the choice they made to have them be military school students, there's already a stigma attached to military school, so you kind of already made these kids bad, quote-unquote, by default. And I think that you would need to, the way you would need to do it to make the American kids make the most sense, or to make an American adaptation make the most sense, is it would need to be really fucking rich people's kids. Not celebrities, but like really, really rich kids.
It would have to be like, but you'd also still want to have, because I think one of the strongest elements of it is that there's these 12 boys that are in the choir and they already have this camaraderie and the structure and those social dynamics exist for that group.
Yeah.
But there are more kids who have none of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a very important part of it, because the beginning is democratic, and Ralph wins the vote, because everyone that's not in the choir votes for Ralph. However, the strength of that pre-existing bond in the choir is what inevitably takes control anyway.
So, something that happens in the novel that's actually interesting is Jack tries to essentially coup and steal the leadership from Ralph. But none of the other boys will back him in front of Ralph. Eventually, when he literally loses the election, like, he takes the conch and he's like, anyone who thinks Ralph shouldn't be chief anymore, raise your hands. None of them raise their hands. Even the choir boys, even the hunters.
Yeah.
And so he basically throws the conch down and is like, I'm not going to play with you anymore, and leaves.
That's when he fucks off.
And that's when he fucks off. And the thing is, even though none of them will support him in front of Ralph, eventually they do steal away to join him, but they weren't willing to do it in front of Ralph.
And then by the end, Ralph's got like three I almost said friends. They're not really friends. 3 people left in his group. He's like, where did everybody go?
Yeah, like, basically all of the adults, all of the biggins, go and join Jack, and he's left with Sam and Eric, the twins, Piggy, and I think there's one other one.
Simon until Simon dies.
Oh yeah, Simon until Simon dies. And then...
The one thing I remember with Sam and Eric from the book is that their names are smushed together into one name, Sam and Eric.
Sam and Eric, yeah.
Okay.
And everyone exclusively refers to them, and it looks like Sam and Eric.
It's like Kate and Amy.
Exactly. So, and the only reason Sam and Eric join Meridu's gang is because they are physically forced to. Like, it is implied that they are tortured by Roger and required to join the gang.
Implied? You see him whip people in the 63.
You don't see it with Sam and Eric. They just say that they made them. But you do see him...
they get, like, hogtied in this one, too.
Yeah, he hogties them here, but again, you don't see the violence that happens to them. You just see them... the scene is described as them being poorly tied up, and Roger advancing on them, and them being terrified. And then it cuts back to Ralph's POV.
Yeah.
Having not watched any of the film adaptations of it, and again, bearing in mind what I said with the man not knowing any of the boys, not being able to recognize any of the boys individually except for Ralph, I kind of don't think Sam and Eric survive this. I have no basis for that except the last time you hear about them is when Ralph is hiding in the thicket and they tell he's gonna hide here, whatever, and then they don't tell when they see him. And the last time you hear either of them is Ralph hears Sam screaming in pain because Roger is doing something to him. And then you never hear their names again.
I cannot recall if they are on the beach at the end of any of them. Because they are very background. They're in all three, but they are very much background characters.
Yeah. They don't get their own... There's like one tiny section that's their POV, and that's like the reveal of the beast.
Yeah, they only ever really get that conversation with Ralph right before he gets smoked out.
Yeah. But that's my Lord of the Flies truth or opinion, is that Sam and Eric are dead at the end. So the true death toll is 5.
At least 5.
Yeah. 5 that I believe.
Well, 4. Sam and Eric's just one guy.
Oh yeah, that's
He's got a weird name. And 2 bodies.
I'm the Gemini.
I have some more funny stories from the set of the 63 if you would like to hear them.
I would love to hear them.
So the actor that played Jack was struggling the first part of the shoot, and he and Peter Brook were butting heads. And he didn't quite figure out how he wanted to play the character of Jack. And one day in the morning while they were shooting, he got fed up, and he walked off set.
They were on an island.
Yeah, he walked off set, just went out into the woods on his own.
Okay.
Just walked away. The kid playing Jack was butting heads with the chief of the picture and went off to make his own movie with blackjack and hookers.
Okay.
3 hours later, he came back, apologized, and Peter was like, "You're ready to play Jack now." And he gives an incredible performance in the movie. I love his Jack. Actually, all of the Jacks were good. Because they picked blonde hair, blue-eyed, Aryan-looking evil motherfuckers. Evil-looking motherfuckers. I don't know any of them men personally.
So, that's actually something that's interesting. Because it's something that you see throughout literature. I can never remember the actual term for it. But it's basically that your beauty or lack thereof defines your morality.
Yeah.
And the introduction to Jack is that he's already got acne. He's gross. And his face, even if he's not, like, unattractive, his face just looks mean. And he's also...
they cast so many pretty white boys.
And Ralph is the handsome blonde boy. He's literally described as the fair boy until you learn his name. And then you've got Piggy, who is fat and blonde. And then Simon is also supposed to have dark hair. Simon is supposed to have dark hair and basically as close as Golding could get to describing feverish eyes because of the epilepsy.
Yeah. He did have massive eyes in the new one. They cast a big-eyed kid. And they emphasized that with a lot of fisheye lenses.
Hell yeah.
No, all of the Jacks were, for lack of a better term, pretty. Ralph's all had dark hair.
See, I think it would be really interesting to cast, like, an Adam Driver-looking motherfucker as Jack.
Just cast whole-ass adult Adam Driver as Jack and cast a bunch of 12-year-olds to be around him.
Because, like, I wouldn't say he's handsome, but he's compelling. And I think that's the energy that Jack has. Like, Ralph needs to be a pretty boy. Jack's energy is that compelling kind of, you're drawn to him despite what he looks like.
Now, here's the real casting question. If we remade this movie entirely with Muppets. Which character is human and who's playing them? I have a good one.
The captain at the end.
Who's playing the captain?
Jim Parsons.
Okay. Finally a human shows up. Here we go. Ralph is played by, hear me out, Jason Mantzoukas.
No.
Hear me out. Jason Mantzoukas trying to sincerely tell a room of Muppets that he's the chief. Jason Mantzoukas crying over his deceased friend, Miss Piggy.
Okay. Miss Piggy would never die, though.
Oh, she would, and she would make it so dramatic. And then she'd break the fourth wall after. Wasn't that great, you know?
No, babe. Miss Piggy is Jack.
Shit, you're right. Kermit is Piggy.
Yes.
There we go. Okay, correct. There we go. So Jason Mantzoukas mourning over the death of his dear friend, Piggy, played by Kermit. Jason Mantzoukas running in fear through the woods as an army of Muppets behind him is burning the woods down.
Just wild
Muppet arms. Gonzo is Roger.
Oh my god.
And then Sam the Eagle is waiting on the beach with the boat.
Oh my god. Muppet Lord of the Flies is inherently a cursed idea.
I want to make it so bad.
Put it on the wheel.
We don't need to. We just want to pitch this one raw. Let me get Disney on the phone. Oh my god.
So is there anything else you want to explore?
I do have one more story from set.
Okay.
So, the kids on the island, the real ones making the movie, not the fake ones that are in the movie, came to a realization one day that they hold the power.
Kids unionize.
That without the workforce, nothing would be produced. And the children unionized.
Yes!
And the children threatened a strike. And among their demands were ice cream at the end of the day.
Okay.
I think some other like toys and games, stuff like that. And Brooke came to the realization, can't let this happen. So he sat at the bargaining table in good faith, like a good employer, and hashed it out with the child union.
Okay, but importantly, who represented the child union?
Apparently no one, because what they got out of the bargaining was more work.
Okay.
What he discovered was the kids were just bored. You're just sitting out there, they're barely even wearing clothing, nothing to do, waiting for like this shot to get done with Piggy and Jack, right? So he put them to work. And these guys are going to be clapper boys. Just to like get the clapper thing, set the scene. You don't need them when you're not doing synchronized audio, but it's something for the kids to do that they can't fuck up because you don't need it. It just tells you what scene it is. The clapping makes no difference at this point. And they also gave the kids another camera. So if they weren't needed for a while, they were shooting a movie of their own with blackjack and hookers.
Where do they keep finding these hookers?
Puerto Rico.
Military base.
Military base. You know what? Military base. So yeah, like, I can't remember if it's on the Criterion. I know some of the footage that the kids shot was saved and is on the Criterion release of that film. I didn't watch any of it. I should. But I don't know if the film they were shooting, like the actual narrative, made the Criterion. I think it was a murder mystery in a cave or something. But yeah, the kids unionized and were punished with more work.
I mean, they were given something to do.
They were. And I believe they had a cast reunion in the 90s at some point.
But also, you're next to a military base. A military that is famous for being able to deliver ice cream places. Just give the kids ice cream.
The military base hated them at first.
Okay.
At first. Because they didn't trust them.
Because they were British? They were our fucking allies.
They were strangers on the island. They could have been spies. They don't know. Russians got really good British accents sometimes, you know?
Sure.
And then Bay of Pigs happened. So anytime like they were doing military exercises on the island, like all of a sudden they couldn't get a hold of anyone on the mainland to get their dailies processed. Shit like that was happening. But apparently by the end of the shoot, the last beach scene was actually shot on military property. They had a better... I think there was an old commander and a new commander, and they had a better relationship with the new one than the old one.
Okay.
Or something. Oh, no. The commander they met on the first day was super nice, and then he
drowned.
He
right?
drowned. Yeah, because he like just got promoted and then drowned because they threw him in a pool and then was replaced with an asshole. That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a military story, not a filmmaking story, so it didn't lock in. You know, I would have remembered if one of the kids drowned because they got him too drunk on set. But yeah, I don't have much else to say. Anything else you wanted to get into?
No, I do think that one of the most fucked up pieces of symbolism is that the fire that they set to flush Ralph out is the fire that ends up saving them.
That is explicit in the miniseries. Is it in the novel as well explicit, or?
It's not, but it's one of those things where it's like when you connect the dots, you're like, oh shit.
Oh, he straight up says it. He's like, we saw all the smoke on the island, came over to check it out.
Well, yeah, that's...
Oh, does he say that?
Yeah,
oh,
he
yeah,
says
that's
that.
explicit then.
But it's like, you have to realize that, like, they've been mostly keeping a signal fire burning forever.
Yeah.
But it's the fire that they're finally using for violence that actually succeeds.
Yeah.
And it's the first time Jack uses the fire outside of cooking.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you recommend the book?
I do. There's nothing offensive in it in terms of, like, there's no slurs or anything like that, except, I guess, making fun of Piggy for having asthma.
His asthma?
Yeah, none of them understand what it is. But, I mean, his writing, especially when he's, like, describing the island, is, like, mystical and beautiful. I don't think I want to read it again anytime soon, but I actually also got the graphic novel adaptation of it.
Ooh.
And that was fun and fucked up, because it's kind of like fun, bright colors, cartoony, and then dead children. It's kind of like reading an illustrated version of the Hunger Games. So...
Ooh, when's the Hunger Games graphic novel coming out?
They did illustrated versions.
Neat.
Yeah. So yeah, I do recommend it. The version that I have is 200 pages, and there's an afterword written by Lois Lowry, which, if you also were a child that read a lot of fucked up books, that name should strike terror into your heart.
So when are we doing The Giver?
You know, sure, let's throw it in there sometime.
I'm down to clown with The Giver.
But yeah, so I enjoyed it, and of course, if you want to read more about it or more like it, there's usually other resources and stuff that you can read. Like, the copy I have after the afterword has something called Suggestions for Further Exploration, and it's basically just like, if you liked this part of the book, read these things. And some of them are photographs, some of them are non-fiction books, and some of them are fiction books.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
if you want to go down the rabbit hole, you can do that.
Neat.
Do you recommend any of the adaptations?
The 1990, skip it. It's not bad. It's not offensive. The best part is the gore effects. The rest of it it's lacking so much of the depth of the source material that it's not worth it, in my opinion. The miniseries, if you can't sit still for 90 minutes at a time, but you can sit still for an hour at a time, the first 2 to 3 episodes are very good. It's shot really well. The actors are the best actors of the 3. The animals are all CG, which is annoying, but, like, what are you going to do about it?
I was going to say, I did hear you say something about the bugs look terrible.
Yeah, the bugs, like, the titular flies look like shit. But where it does its stuff well is the performances are very good. And they add some depth to characters that is welcome. And they add some depth to characters that is not. And it goes off the rails by the end. The 63 is the one I recommend the most. I didn't like it that much the first time, but on rewatch and understanding more about the characters, it felt like a documentary.
I was going to say, upon seeing the other shit that's out there.
Yeah, it's an incredibly faithful telling. And if you can get over... Well, once you understand why the acting is the way that it is, it feels a little off. It's because they had to ADR in lines from... Like, one bit of dialogue could be from 3 different takes, just because the lips matched up right. And I think one of the kids, when they had to do some retakes of dialogue, like, a year or 2 later, one of the kids' voice dropped 3 octaves, and the other kid lost his British accent.
Oh, no.
Because he was an expat. Like, his parents were British, and he was living in the States, and he eventually lost his accent. I believe it was Ralph, whose voice got deeper, and Jack, who lost the accent, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyway, if you can get past that... The cheap, janky 60s black and white of it all, it's a really faithful, really entertaining, like, really gripping telling of the story. I shouldn't be too critical, because I know how hard it is to adapt this. So, do you want some me lore
Oh,
before we
God.
talk about next week?
Okay, fill me in.
When we read this in high school, I had to do a project. And the project I elected to give myself, we had to do some creative endeavor based on Lord of the Flies, right? I decided to film an adaptation of The Lord of the Flies in one afternoon in the snow.
Buddy.
It was terrible. It was like 20 minutes long, felt like 40.
Okay.
Couldn't hear the dialogue because the camera was so far away to keep everything in. I didn't edit anything, so I just shot in sequence. Literally using the book as a script. So Peter, I feel ya. I just had a lot less time. We didn't have big rocks, so we threw big snowball down the thing to kill Piggy. But you couldn't see it because the background was white because it was literally snowing.
Okay, but who played Piggy?
It was none of my high school friends. It was my cousins.
Oh my god. Okay.
So also, by the end of it, me, the oldest kid, is trying to corral all of these children that just want to play in the snow. So I really learned a lesson about what it must have been like on the island that day.
Oh, honey. Oh, honey.
And to think, 20-ish years later, I'm still trying to adapt movies on our other podcast, The Treatment, a podcast about stories, which you can get wherever you get your podcasts. Check out our most recent episode, The Iliad, in which we have our God So Universe Avengers episode, and bring in everything... What?
I was gonna say, it's a Troy story, if you will.
Fucking boo. Go fuck yourself.
That's literally what it means.
Ugh.
Yes, it's not that often that I get the sigh of disappointment.
So if you check the description, there's our link trees down there. Check out our other podcast, The Treatment. You can email us suggestions, thoughts, complaints. Which human character you would keep in the Muppets version and who would you cast? Let us know there or at our social media accounts, which are also there. We also have our Ko-Fi coffee account. If you want to toss a couple bucks our way, it would be greatly appreciated. Next time, Codie, we're finishing up our season on high school shit we didn't quite understand. That's what the season is. Didn't say that at the top. We're closing off with another one I didn't read, but I know other kids in school read, and I lumped in the same part of my brain as Fahrenheit 451, where that's dangerous because it was banned once. I shouldn't read that. I'm a good boy.
Oh, pobrecito.
And I have actually read it as an adult. And it is Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. It's one we have a copy of on the shelf, I believe.
I believe you are correct.
So, that is next time out, but until then, pretend I'm plugging everything again, and roll credits. Oh no, that was like the best way I've ever ended one of these.
Quick, hit end! Hit end!
No, shit, fuck! Shit, how do I just stop? Stop!